reforms are challenging, but you are not doing them for me or for my mother or for my grandmother. You are doing this for your family. You've asked 4 questions in one. There's a lot of talk in the Republic of Moldova about negotiations, about when it will happen, but you have to have substance to negotiate about, right? We are, not an autocratic entity that thinks of itself as best in everything. I will definitely go to Găgăuzia. I realize that people are not super enthusiastic about the European Union there. For us, the Transnistrian region is obviously integral part of the Republic of Moldova.
Madam Ambassador, thank you so much for being here and accepting our invitation at NewsMaker.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, Stella, for the invitation.
So, your mandate began at a historic moment for Republic of Moldova. The ruling party set the goal of signing the EU accession agreement by 2028. Do you think this ambitious plan can be achieved by the end of your mandate?
Yes, it's a historic moment when I arrived. I'm very proud to be here at this moment. I arrived 1 month before the parliamentary elections, which are, I think, already the 4th or 5th elections that reconfirmed that the citizens of the Republic of Moldova wish to go into the direction of European Union. You even have it in your constitution now. And indeed, the government's intention is to finish the accession negotiations during my mandate. I would be very happy if that's the case. Of course, then you still have ratification that usually takes around 1-2 years. But even if the Republic of Moldova enters the EU after my 4 years mandate is over, I hope I will be invited to celebrate with all the citizens.
According to the latest European Commission report, Moldova has made progress in aligning with EU standards, but still faces major challenges in areas such as the rule of law, justice reform, and fighting corruption. Also, Commissioner for Enlargement, Marta Kos, has recently mentioned the idea of introducing trial periods and even the possibility of expelling member states that undermine democratic values inside the EU. She also warned about the so-called Trojan horse within the Union. In this context, how can the Republic of Moldova prove that its reforms are genuinely irreversible and that it will not become such a Trojan horse inside the EU?
If I counted well, you've asked 4 questions in one. Let me respond some. And it refers to your previous question, if this pace of accession reforms can be maintained. Of course, this is in your hands, in the hands of the government, but actually in the hands of also opposition, of all the stakeholders, of the people. Indeed, you can finish these negotiations in time, but only if you maintain and even accelerate the reform process. There's a lot of talk in the Republic of Moldova about negotiations, about when it will happen, but you have to have substance to negotiate about, right? It's actually about the reforms, about what you do. And you are very right that we issued last week the enlargement report, the annual enlargement report, and Moldova was really front runner in terms of the biggest progress. So we usually measure 2 things in these reports each year for all candidate countries, is the progress you've made since last year and how prepared you are. In the first category of progress, undoubtedly Moldova is first. It has really made the biggest leap, the biggest progress. But that does not mean Moldova is the most prepared. There's countries that have been longer in the process and have made bigger progress over longer time. Indeed, this report is very detailed. You can just have a look. We go, we go really area by area and say very precisely what's needed to be done. And I think you've pinpointed rightly to most important areas. It's all about fundamentals. Usually, it's like with the house. When you don't have fundamentals right, the house will fall. Same for accession. You need to have your justice system right. have very strong anti-corruption, measures, rule of law, public financing, public procurement, and so on. And there is still a lot of room for improvement there, demanded by your people. It's not really the EU. Yes, it's also part of pre-accession conditionality, for instance, justice reform, but it actually started before. That's how the pro-European forces came to power in this country, the people demanding justice all across the country. And you are doing this. You are vetting judges, prosecutors, but there's still room to go, of course.
And about so-called Trojan horse.
Sorry, I'm not avoiding the question, but there were so many questions you've asked in one.
That is something new.
This is a very, very good question. Accession has always been, every round of accession, about preparedness of both, of those that enter the EU, the new countries, and of the EU itself. It also needs to get prepared, be strong enough to absorb new countries, and the new countries have to be very strong to be not just mere members, but to be really full-blown strong members that can shape the policy from day number one. It's very important. So I think what the Commissioner for Enlargement meant, we just had her visit here, she spoke about this herself. We just want to make sure that the countries which enter are strong enough, that they have really good legislation and implemented legislation, that in terms of any backsliding, they can immediately react, stopping unnecessary developments if there are.
What about the EU? Do you think there are some areas where the European Union could be better itself?
Of course. We are, not an autocratic entity that thinks of itself as best in everything. European Union from the very beginning, it's in constant process of, evolution, progress, changes, reforms, and this will continue. It's happening every day, really, in various areas. Now, for instance, something that we didn't think was necessary some years ago, defense industry. This was nothing we were even occupied with. But unfortunately, we have war in our continent, and we needed to pull our acts together and work together also in defense industry to have drones and so on. So yes, we are definitely in need of improvement as every democratic entity and organization.
During her visit to Chișinău last week, European Parliament President Roberta Metsola commented on the 1.9 billion growth plan for Moldova and noted that EU support is provided in tranches and sometimes requires deeper reform to unlock the next payment. The first tranche was transferred in June, that was about 5 months ago. Could you tell us when the next tranche might be released and what its estimated amount will be?
So this is a very important issue, the growth plan. It's really unprecedented level of financial support. If you look into the numbers, it's 1.9 billion euro. It's really an enormous money and really helping hand, but it has to be taken well indeed. And I think what President Metsola said is very true. This is money which is conditional on reforms. In other terms, we are really checking thoroughly the reforms that are requested before any money is disbursed. And indeed, I don't think it was 5 months ago because I was already here. I think it was in
June.
Okay. In any case, it was indeed the Republic of Moldova fulfilled the requirements at that time, and we could reimburse the first tranche. Now, if I remember well, there's around 26 steps that the country needs to fulfill in all other areas right now. And when this is done, next tranche will be reimbursed. I think we are looking towards, there are certain steps that need to be done towards the end of the year. And there is, of course, then a period of verification and so on. But indeed, it works like this. It's really reform-based, and I think that's the way it should be.
Okay, so no information for now for the second
I
round.
can come. I should know. I can come back on this to you.
But Prime Minister Alexandru Munteanu said that one of the biggest vulnerabilities for Moldova is the capacity of absorbing these funds. So my question is, if Moldova fails to absorb all the funds, we'll just lose this money, or this money could be redirected to other, I don't know, candidate states?
No, it doesn't work like that, and I'm not sure to which exact statement of Prime Minister you are referring to, but I think, at least in the meetings I were present, Prime Minister referred to absorption capacity when you are a member actually already. We were discussing about the challenges you have in terms of, public administration, human resources, etc., which is always a very important issue in every candidate country, in every member state. We're obviously helping as much as we can. You need skilled people with knowledge of these issues. It's very important to have a well-functioning public administration, both at the, let's say, capital level, but also in all rayons. One of the issues you are going to find or you've seen in the enlargement report is reform of really public administration across the country, because precisely, not only because of funding, but also because of funding, this goes to regional and local level in all corners of the country. And so it's important that there is transparent and well-functioning governance at this level as well. So this is indeed a very, very important issue where we put a lot of emphasis, and we hope that the new government will rather sooner than later go into reforming and legislation in this area.
Speaking about local authorities, President Maia Sandu said some time ago that European funds should go to mayors, regardless of their political affiliation, but to mayors who support EU values. Do you think it is fair that EU money to be directed only to certain places in Moldova, and wouldn't it be unfair if this support failed to reach all Moldovan citizens, regardless of their political views?
I'm really not aware of this statement of President, and I doubt it would be spelled that way. Of course, the EU financing, but also the reforms linked to the accession process refer to the whole territory of the Republic of Moldova. I am myself very eager to discover it all. When I arrived here, I was quite lucky because already on the first day I went, the Commissioner for Agriculture was at the time in town, so I went with him to Stefan Voda, for instance. I visited already myself other places like Aneni Noi, Gura Becului, Mereni, very, very interesting places, and meeting a lot of people, for instance, at Firefighters Festival, which I will never forget. Tomorrow I'm actually going to the Transnistrian region. I will definitely visit. I will. You are all Moldovans, and our offer of helping you to reform your country the way you wish, according to our common values, is what I'm here for.
But many Moldavians see EU membership as a path to a better life, but joining also means reform that can be challenging. For example, allowing foreigners to buy farmland. Former Prime Minister Dorin Recean said that Moldova will insist on some restrictions, but how do you see this issue? Can Moldova legally refuse to sell land to EU citizens if they do not hold Moldovan citizenship?
I think there are two questions here. One is about challenging reforms, the other is about the land. About challenging reforms. Yes, reforms are challenging, but you are not doing them for me or for my mother or for my grandmother. You are doing this for your family. you need to reform your education system, your health system, your public administration, your courts. This is what you people wanted in the first place. We are there just to help fulfill your own dreams. Some of them coincide with others, and that's a happy coincidence, but let's not forget where it all starts. So yes, some reforms are challenging because you are never going to improve if you don't do them. You know, that's how progress works everywhere in the world. Now about the land, I'm not really in the details, but it reminds me of the discussions we had in my own country before the accession. Every candidate country during accession negotiations is putting its arguments regarding all legislation, all areas, be it schools, be it land, be it, you know, agriculture, transport, and discusses how much time you need to adapt, how much time EU member states might need to adapt to certain areas. There is often also a transitionary period discussed when you need a bit more time, or you definitely need to be in line with EU law, as all member states have to. It's not something particular to Moldova. All member states have to apply the same law. But you are also going to shape this law. So let's not forget this issue.
Okay. I also want to talk about the Transnistria and Găgăuzia regions. We often travel to the south of the country and speak to the residents of Găgăuzia region. And from these visits, we've observed that many people, despite the major EU financial support, they still look toward Russia. And they, rather than the European Union, that's partly because they fear to lose their identity or traditions, or maybe the right to educate their children in Russian language, which is important to them. Please send them a message. What would EU membership mean for Moldova's ethnic and linguistic minorities?
I don't know if I need to send this message today, because I want to go there and send this message. We've just been talking about me going to all corners of the country. I'm going to Transnistria to the Transnistrian region tomorrow, as I told you, and I will go to other places. I will definitely go to Găgăuzia. I realize that people are not super enthusiastic about the European Union there. And I want to understand why, because as you've said yourself rightly, we have a lot of projects there, and people seem to be happy about them. So I want to understand this dissonance. There must be some sort of miscommunication. I have received very encouraging and interesting letters for conversation with certain mayors in Găgăuzia, and we'll certainly take this invitation up. About minorities, you've asked. European Union is all about diversity, and diversity is a bit, maybe, you know, kind of high-level word, but it's actually very, you know, common thing. We all are becoming better people, better, you know, professionals, better mothers, when we learn from different people. If we are all the same, we don't go anywhere. So we actually cultivate diversity in the European Union, including minorities. I give you a story from my primary school. We have a minority, it's not really ethnic minority called Kashubian in Poland, close to Gdańsk, where I come from. I think even Prime Minister Tusk is Kashubian, if I'm not wrong. We could learn this language and these traditions at school, and as it was close to my place, even if I was not part of that community, I actually did, and I enjoyed it. So I think we even offer possibilities for others to get to know other cultures, minorities. Anybody who has traveled to the EU, any member states, has seen how these things are protected and actually preserved and promoted. You go to Italy, and every single region is proud of something local. So I don't really know where these fears come from, but I respect them. I'm ready to discuss them in depth. But maybe they are also a bit coming from miscommunications and propaganda, and there's nothing better than an open conversations about this. So I'm looking forward to my visit to these regions.
Definitely. So you're going to Transnistria. We see three major problems there: the economic uncertainty, human rights violations, and of course the presence of Russian troops there. But let's not forget about the simple people there. Transnistria is becoming a gray zone, not only geopolitically but also in human terms. So can these people count on EU support? And is the previously proposed EU assistance, for example, in energetic crisis, is it still valid?
I think I prefer to come back to you on the Transnistrian region once I come back from there. I've never been. But of course, what I need to underline already now is that for us, the Transnistrian region is obviously integral part of the Republic of Moldova, and is first and foremost to the authorities of the Republic of Moldova to work on reintegration. I hear more and more encouraging signs in this respect. There is a new minister also I have not yet met for integration, but I'm going to meet very soon. I certainly hope that the authorities are going to tackle this very important issue very, very soon. You've touched upon many issues. You've raised human rights. Human rights is at the core of what the EU stands for everywhere in the world, in the European Union, in the Republic of Moldova, and in every corner of the Republic of Moldova, including the Transnistrian region. We are at the media outlet. I met, for instance, some media representatives who very much would like to visit the Transnistrian region, and they cannot. This, for instance, I would encourage to consider changing, definitely. Now, you've asked if the EU is on the side of the people in the Republic Moldova, including in the Transnistrian region. I think we kind of proved it last year when they were a bit cold as the Russian gas was cut, and it was the EU who really came with help. This was a bit of an emergency situation, and we shouldn't be working on the basis of emergency situations forever. So while I can imagine additional funding in this respect, it would be conditional on reforms, definitely.
Can we count on you of raising the topics of the political prisoners in Transnistrian region and the access of free media, independent media to the left side of bank Dnistru tomorrow when speaking with this?
Well, I just raised it already, the issue of access of media. I am a very polite person, and I believe I'll keep my messages for my visit itself. People I meet shouldn't be learning about them ahead. I made an exception on media, but because I'm talking to a journalist.
Okay, another important topic is sovereignty and what EU membership would actually mean for Moldova in this regard. Many Moldovans fear that joining the European Union might mean losing part of the country's sovereignty. In your view, which aspects of Moldova's sovereignty could actually be preserved or even strengthened through EU membership?
This is a very deep question, which already shows how close to the EU you are, because very similar questions we are debating in the EU since years and in really every corner. Entering the EU is not about losing sovereignty, otherwise I can't imagine a single country that would have entered, and we have quite a queue still, as you know. It's about pooling sovereignty, about sharing sovereignty. Your voice will matter more because you will be shaping the policies that govern the EU. To give you some examples, you've asked for examples. Well, you just mentioned yourself energy. Energy sovereignty for the countries that are still dependent on gas from one source. I think pulling this in a way full of solidarity is the best example. Energy sovereignty is something very, very valuable. We can say it more generally about economic sovereignty. We live in a world where everything is connected, trade, value chains. Moldova will become a more robust part of this international value chains. So your economic sovereignty will definitely grow, and so on. But also political, as we've discussed, you will be part of shaping the policies that then govern much bigger entity, much bigger group of countries than your own. Not only the 450 million single market, but we are very often treated extremely seriously all around the world, and the legislation we apply for us is very often sort of source of inspiration for others. I've served last 4 years in Singapore. I can tell you in Southeast Asia, we are source of inspiration in many areas.
I know you have little time, so to end on a lighter note, I know you already started learning Romanian language. So what was the first word in Romanian you learned?
So, starting learning Romanian is a difficult issue because I will be very honest, as in all the answers I've given you, I've been honest now as well. I was supposed to start Romanian language classes, but the 2 times that I was supposed to have my first lesson, high-level visit happened to your country, President Metsola and Commissioner for Enlargement. So my first official lesson is still ahead of me. But I came to the Republic of Moldova with knowledge of very few words, mainly food and food connected. I think you know that the word I knew was trecuratoare.
I feel like the story behind that word is very funny.
I was in the College of Europe, which is postgraduate studies, on European integration, basically. And this is where I met my first friends from Moldova, by the way. And they were cooking, and they were all the time we were cooking pasta, and they were all the time using this word. And to be honest, I thought it was something else because it sounded very poetic, trecuratoare. So I asked what it was, and I was a bit disappointed that it was a very prosaic tool. But this was clearly my first word. Since then, I can do bună ziua, mulțumesc, and so on, but I really would like to be able to do more. So I promise next time.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you so much. Mulțumesc pentru
Mulțumesc, vă mulțumesc.
Mult noroc and good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Stella.